Hello students, in this lecture we will see the part of your first unit, that is the metabolism. So this metabolism, it includes phase 1 and phase 2 metabolism. Okay, so as we know that the drugs what we are taking, these drugs, they show their activity, and after showing the activity they will undergo biotransformation, or they will undergo the metabolism process, and after having the metabolism process they are converted into the form which can be eliminated easily from the body. It is the important part of a drug. If drug remains in our body, or it remains in our blood circulation for a longer duration of time than they require, it gets accumulated, and the accumulation of these drugs in our body, it will lead to the harmful effects, or it will lead to some kinds of side effects. So to avoid this, it is necessary to have the process called as biotransformation. It is also called as the metabolism. By this process the drugs can be eliminated from the body. So we know that there are generally two properties of a drug. It can be the hydrophilic, it can be the lipophilic, or the drug can be having both the activities, that is the hydrophilicity as well as the lipophilicity. Okay, so suppose this is the membrane. So if the drug is more lipophilic, so the drug can cross this membrane, it will enters where the effect is required, and when it enters at the site of activity, it shows this activity. So it is possible when the drug is having the lipophilicity and it can cross the cell membrane, which is the lipophilic membrane. So drug is lipophilic, then only it can cross this membrane, and it will show the activity at the site of action. Second type of drug, they having some kind of hydrophilicity. So if the hydrophilic drugs are there, so it is difficult for the drugs to cross this membrane, as this membrane is made up of the lipophilic parts. So what happens, there are some pores are present in this part. So through these pores, this hydrophilic drug, they can transfer through the membrane, and when they can transfer to the membrane, they can reach at the site of activity, and when they can reach at the site of activity, they can produce the activity. So if hydrophilic drug there are pores are there to transfer the drugs to the site of action, and if the lipophilic drug is there, as the cell membrane is lipophilic, it can cross easily the cell membrane, it will go at the site of activity, it will show the activity. So what the problem is present, there is a problem is regarding the elimination of these drugs after the showing the activity from the body. So if hydrophilic drug is there, this hydrophilic drug, it can be eliminated through the body easily, as these are the hydrophilic, so it can enter into the urine formation, and in the form of urine it can be eliminated through the body. But if the drug is lipophilic, what happens, it is difficult for the lipophilic drug to enters into the urine formation. Why it is difficult? Because urine is having the watery or the aqueous nature, so they can dissolve the substance which are hydrophilic in nature. It cannot dissolve the substance which are lipophilic in nature. So if hydrophilic is there, it can easily dissolve in that urine, it can eliminate it through the body. But if lipophilic part is there, it is difficult for the lipophilic part to dissolve in the urine, and if it is not dissolved in the urine, it cannot be eliminated from the body. So such that it is the possibility of the accumulation of such drug, and such drug accumulation, it can lead to the side effects due to the accumulation, or it will show some kinds of the harmful effects. Okay, are you getting my concept? If hydrophilic there, it can enter into the urine formation process, in the through urine it can be eliminated from the body, it can be excreted into the body. But if the drug is lipophilic, what happens, it cannot dissolve in the urine. So we know the phenomenon, that is the like dissolves like. So what is the like dissolves like? If hydrophilic is there, it can dissolve in the hydrophilic part. If lipophilic drug is there, it can be dissolved in the lipophilic. But hydrophilic drug cannot dissolve in the lipophilic, or lipophilic cannot dissolve in the hydrophilic. So for the dissolving of the substance, it should having the similar kind of properties. So if lipophilic drug is there, it cannot be dissolved in the urine, as the urine having the aqueous nature. So there is a chances of accumulation of this lipophilic drug in the body. It can produce the side effects, it can produce the harmful effects. Okay. Now if drug is the lipid soluble, so here you can find out, if drug is the lipid soluble, it can enters into the membrane, but when it comes near to the kidney, it will not undergo the urine formation process, and if it not undergo the urine formation process, it will not enters into the urine. So what happens, the kidney having the process called as the filtration process. In the filtration process, what happens, the required material is reabsorbed back into the circulation by the kidney, and the unwanted substances, unwanted part of the body, not of the body, unwanted part which is present in the body, it can be pass into the urine, and it can be excreted from the body. So when this if we have given a lipophilic drug, when it enters into the kidney, so it again undergo reabsorption process. Why it undergo reabsorption process? Because it is lipophilic, it cannot enters into the urine, so it undergo reabsorption process. And when it undergo reabsorption process, what happens, it come again back into the blood circulation, and if it comes into the blood circulation, it will show further activity of a drug, and the accumulation of drug takes place, and it will lead to the side effects. Okay, so there is no problem regarding the hydrophilic drug. So when hydrophilic drug, it comes into the kidney, it can easily excreted in the urine, or it comes into the urine formation, as urine can accumulate the hydrophilic agent, so it can be easily enters into the urine, and after entering in the urine, it can be excreted from the body. Okay, but what happens regarding the lipophilic drug, in the urine or in the filtration process, it cannot be eliminated, or it cannot be excreted. Hence it again enters into the blood circulation, it will show further activity, accumulation takes place, it can show the side effects, or it can show the harmful effects. So from this we can find it that if drug is hydrophilic, it can be easily excreted from the body, but if drug is lipophilic, it is difficult for them to excrete in our body. आपल्या बॉडीमध्ये अशी कुठलीच प्रोसेस नाही का जेणेकरून हा ड्रग जो लिपोफिलिक ड्रग आहे तो बॉडीमधून बाहेर टाकला जाईल. इट इज नॉट लाईक दॅट. सो अवर बॉडी हॅव्हिंग द biotransformation process, our body having the metabolism process. In that process, the lipophilic drug is also converted into the hydrophilic drug. So that process is called as the metabolism. So this is the lipophilic drug. If we convert it into the hydrophilic drug, this process is called as the metabolism. This process is called as the biotransformation. So कन्सेप्ट काय आला, हायड्रोफिलिक ड्रग युरिन मधनं बाहेर इझिली जाऊ शकतात, कारण का ते ॲक्वियस आहेत. पण जे लिपोफिलिक ड्रग आहेत ते युरिन मधनं इस्क्रीट होऊ शकत नाहीत. का होऊ शकत नाहीत, युरिन हे हायड्रोफिलिक आहे, ड्रग आपला लिपोफिलिक आहे, सो ते त्याच्यामध्ये डिझॉल्व्ह होणार नाहीत. डिझॉल्व्ह झाली नाहीत तर ते बॉडीमधनं बाहेर टाकू शकत नाहीत. ओके, सो आपल्या बॉडीमध्ये आता तुम्हाला माहित आहे फिसेस, युरिनेशन आणि फिसेस. सो संडासला येणे आणि लघवीला येणे, दॅट इज द युरिनेशन. संडास आपल्याला 1 किंवा 2लाच येतं दिवसातनं, बट युरिनेशन हे आपल्याला भरपूर वेळा येतं दिवसातनं. What is the reason? The main reason is that the filtration process of kidney generally takes place after half hour, after 1 hour. Like this, the filtration process takes place. So during the filtration process, if lipophilic particles are there, it again reabsorb into the blood or into the blood circulation, and when it reabsorb into the blood or blood circulation, it shows this activity, it shows the accumulation, it shows the side effects. But the hydrophilic agents, it can be passes through the urine, and it can be eliminated from the body. The process in which we are converting the lipophilic drug into the hydrophilic drug and the removal of these drugs from the body, that process is called as the biotransformation. This process is also called as the metabolism. ओके, सो आपल्या बॉडीमध्ये फक्त युरिनमधनंच पास होतं का ड्रग्स किंवा तिथं मेटाबॉलिझम, तर नाही. मेटाबॉलाइट ड्रग्स कॅन बी पास थ्रू युरिन, इट कॅन बी पास इन द फॉर्म ऑफ स्वेट. आपल्याला घाम येतो, दॅट मीन्स इट कॅन बी पास थ्रू द स्वेट, इट कॅन बी पास through the bile. So the major source or the major site of the metabolism process is the liver. So sweat, exhaled air, or the bile, urine. These are the sites from where these metabolite products can be eliminated from the body. Now we are moving to the next part. After the definition of metabolism or the biotransformation, we are moving to the next part. What are the types of metabolism, or what are the types of this biotransformation? So generally there are two types of metabolism. One is the phase 1, second one is the phase 2. Okay, so what happens in the phase 1 process? The lipophilic drug, it can be converted into the hydrophilic drug by some reactions. That process, that part of the metabolism is called as phase 1 metabolism. So it may be the oxidation reaction, it may be the reduction reaction, it may be the hydrolysis reaction. But some of the reactions, the lipophilic drugs, it is converted into the hydrophilic drugs or the hydrophilic part. So such part is called as the phase 1 metabolism. What is phase 2 metabolism? In the phase 2 metabolism, there is a conjugation takes place, there is a coupling takes place. Mean if drug is present, to that drug the conjugated substances are bound and they are converted into highly hydrophilic part, and this can be eliminated from the body. So highly hydrophilic part there in phase 2. So drug can undergo phase 1 metabolism, then it can undergo phase 2 metabolism, then it can be eliminated from the body, or drug can directly undergo phase 1 metabolism, and after that one it can directly excreted from the body. But for that it requires the hydrophilic part. So if the drug is hydrophilic, then only it can be eliminated from the body. So in the phase 1, what happens? The reactions like oxidation, reduction, hydrolysis can be takes place. There are some reactions are also cyclization, recyclation. So the types of reactions are also present. In the phase 2, there is a conjugation, there is a coupling takes place. This coupling can be with the help of glucuronide, it can be with the help of amino acids, it can be with the help of sulfate, it can be with the help of other parts which can form a conjugation with a drug. So once again, before going deeply into the phase 1 phase 2 reactions, once again we will repeat what is the metabolism, what is the biotransformation. Okay, so then we will move to the next part, that is the detailed description regarding the phase 1 and phase 2 metabolism. Okay, so what happens in, we have different types of drugs. Some drugs are hydrophilic drugs, some drugs are lipophilic drugs. If hydrophilic drugs are there, these drugs, as they are the water soluble, through urine they can be easily excreted from the body. But there are some drugs which are lipophilic in nature. If drugs are lipophilic in nature, it is difficult for them to get eliminated from the body. Why it is difficult? Because the lipophilic drugs, they are not soluble in the water. So urine is having the water, it is the aqueous. So lipophilic drugs will not soluble in the urine, so it cannot be eliminated from the body. So during the filtration process they get reabsorbed, they will again accumulation takes place. So that is the why metabolism is important. Second part, these metabolisms, they are of two types, phase 1 metabolism and phase 2 metabolism. In the phase 1 metabolism there is a reactions takes place. In phase 2 metabolism there is a conjugation takes place, or there is a coupling takes place. So in the phase 1, what happens? Oxidation, reduction, hydrolysis, such reaction takes place. In that reaction, drugs are converted into the hydrophilic form. So the lipophilic drug which are not soluble in the water, they drugs can undergo phase 1 reaction. They can be made soluble in the water by converting them into the polar groups such as hydroxy group, COH group, amine group. So these are the polar groups. So we can convert the drugs into the polar group. That is the phase 1 reaction. In the phase 2 reaction, the polar groups, if present, these polar groups can be converted into the highly hydrophilic drugs by process called as the conjugation. Okay, so suppose this is the drug. So in the conjugation, what happens? The conjugated part, suppose sulfate conjugation is there, so that sulfate group binds to this part. If glucuronide they sell, it binds to this part, so there is a conjugation takes place. Okay, so the binding, instead of converting into the reaction, the coupling, the conjugation of this conjugated substance with the drug takes place, and these are highly hydrophilic and it can be excreted through the urine. So that is the phase 2 metabolism. In the phase 1, what happens? There is a reaction such as oxidation, hydrolysis or reduction. Such kind of reactions you can observe in case of phase 1. Okay, so this phase 1 lipophilic converts into the hydrophilic. In phase 2, the hydrophilic drugs, they are converted into more hydrophilic drugs so that they can eliminate from the body easily. Okay, so now suppose this is the drug. If this drug undergo phase 1 metabolism, phase 1 means it undergoes these types of reaction, so it forms one product. So that product is called as the metabolite. So that hydrophilic product which is formed after the metabolism, that product is called as the metabolite. Suppose this is one metabolite. Okay, so there is a possibility that this drug can also undergo phase 2, that is the conjugation process. Suppose that product is the metabolite B. Okay, so these are the different metabolites. So what happens if drug is hydrophilic? Suppose this is the hydrophilic drug, so it can be directly enters into the kidney through the filtration. It can be easily eliminated from the body, so direct elimination takes place. But if drug is the lipophilic, what happens? It undergo phase 1 reaction, it is converted into hydrophilic part, and after hydrophilic part again it can undergo conjugation reaction or the phase 2 metabolism, and it can be excreted through urine and the bile. So liver is the main source where the metabolism takes place. Okay, urine is also one of the important source from which the metabolite products can be eliminated from the body. So hydrophilic drug असेल तर डायरेक्टली एलिमिनेट होणार. ड्रग जर लिपोफिलिक असेल तर काय होणार? फेज 1 मेटाबॉलिझम होईल किंवा फेज 2 मेटाबॉलिझम होईल किंवा दोन्ही होईल. फेज 1 झालं परत त्याचं फेज 2 होऊ शकतं किंवा डायरेक्टली फेज 1 ड्रग सुद्धा किडनी मधून एक्सक्रीट होऊ शकतो. So phase 1 can be eliminated. If hydrophilic drug, it can be eliminated directly, or phase 1 drug can undergo phase 2 then eliminated, or drug can be undergo phase 2 and it can be eliminated. So such kind of process can be takes place in our body to remove the drugs after the desired activity. So this process is called as the biotransformation. It is called as the metabolism. So what is the biotransformation? That is the chemical alteration of drug in the body that converts non-polar, which are the lipophilic drugs, to hydrophilic drugs or the polar drugs, which are the soluble compound. Okay, so these drugs, this is the one part, this is the definition of biotransformation metabolism. आता बायोट्रान्सफॉर्मेशन किंवा मेटाबॉलिझम फक्त इनएक्टिव्ह ड्रगचं ॲक्टिव्ह ड्रगमध्ये ॲक्टिव्ह ड्रगचं इनएक्टिव्ह ड्रगमध्ये कन्वर्जन होतं का? तर तसं होत नाही. इनएक्टिव्ह ड्रगचं ॲक्टिव्ह ड्रगमध्ये पण होऊ शकतं, ॲक्टिव्ह ड्रगचं इनएक्टिव्ह ड्रगमध्ये सुद्धा होऊ शकतं. सो ॲक्टिव्ह ड्रग इट कॅन बी कन्वर्टेड इन टू द इनएक्टिव्ह ड्रग. समटाइम्स ॲक्टिव्ह ड्रगचं मेटाबॉलिझम झालं तर तुम्हाला ॲक्टिव्ह ड्रग पण मिळू शकतो, किंवा इनएक्टिव्ह ड्रगचं जर मेटाबॉलिझम झालं तर तुम्हाला ॲक्टिव्ह ड्रग सुद्धा मिळू शकतो. म्हणजे जे ड्रग, सपोज ए हा ड्रग आहे, ह्या ड्रगचं मेटाबॉलिझम झालं तुम्हाला बी मिळाला, सो हा बी इनएक्टिव्ह मेटाबॉलाइट असू शकतो, किंवा हा बी ॲक्टिव्ह मेटाबॉलाइट असू शकतो, किंवा हा जर ए इनएक्टिव्ह असेल तर बी हा ॲक्टिव्ह. सो यू हॅव गॉन थ्रू द कन्सेप्ट कॉल्ड एज द प्रोड्रग. सो व्हॉट इज द कन्सेप्ट ऑफ द प्रोड्रग? इफ द ड्रग इज inactive and after metabolism it is converted into the active form, such drug we call that as the prodrug. So prodrug active drug मध्ये conversion कसं होतं? Due to the process called as the biotransformation. So biotransformation means alteration of hydrophilic drug, alteration of lipophilic drug into the hydrophilic drug, and during this active drug can be converted into active form, active drug can be converted into inactive form, or inactive drug can be converted into the active drug. For example, प्रोड्रग्स. ओके, सो ॲक्टिव्ह ड्रग जर इनएक्टिव्ह मध्ये झाले तर फिनोबार्बिटोन त्याचं मेटाबॉलिझम, मॉर्फिन त्याचं मेटाबॉलाइट प्रोडक्ट्स. ॲक्टिव्ह ड्रगमध्ये फेनॅसिटिनचं जे मेटाबॉलिझम होतं त्यावेळी आपल्याला ॲक्टिव्ह ड्रग मिळतो. वी हॅव सीन इन द केस ऑफ बेन्झोडायझेपाम. ओके, बेन्झोडायझेपाममधले जे एक्झाम्पल्स आहेत, क्लोडायझेपॉक्साइड असतील, क्लोडायझेपाम असतील, किंवा बाकीचे जे डायझेपाम असतील, त्याचं कन्वर्जन मेटाबॉलिझम होऊन ऑक्साझेपाममध्ये येतं. सो ऑक्साझेपाम हा सुद्धा एक ॲक्टिव्ह मेटाबॉलाइट आहे किंवा ॲक्टिव्ह ड्रग आहे. सो दॅट इज द एक्झाम्पल ऑफ active drug into the active metabolite. Okay, are you getting my points? सो ॲक्टिव्ह टू ॲक्टिव्ह सुद्धा मेटाबॉलिझम होऊ शकतं किंवा ॲक्टिव्ह टू इनॲक्टिव्ह होऊ शकतं. एखादा ड्रग इनॲक्टिव्ह असेल तर त्या इनॲक्टिव्ह ड्रगचं कन्वर्जन हे ॲक्टिव्हमध्ये सुद्धा होऊ शकतं. सो दिस टाईप ऑफ प्रोसेस कॅन बी टेक्स प्लेस इन अवर बॉडी टू रिमूव्ह द hydrophilic or lipophilic drugs after their desired effect. So such process we call it as the biotransformation. So as we have discussed, there are two phases of metabolism. It is phase 1 metabolism and phase 2 metabolism. So phase 1 metabolism, where oxidation, reduction, hydrolysis, cyclization, decyclization reaction takes place, where the lipophilic drugs they are converted into the hydrophilic drug. In phase 2 reactions, in these reactions what happens? The drugs they are converted into highly hydrophilic drug or the metabolites by the process called as the conjugation. So the material is conjugated or any other substance is conjugated with the drug and they are converted into these phase 2 metabolites. So phase 1 metabolites also called as functionalization reaction, they are also called as non-synthetic reactions, while phase 2 reactions they are called as conjugation reactions, they are also called as synthetic reaction. So in phase 1 the drugs are converted or the parent drugs they are converted into the polar metabolite by introducing or unmasking a functional group, which are the polar functional groups. So hydroxy group, carboxylic acidic group, then NH2 SH group. So such groups can be formed from the drugs or they can be unmasked. In the second process, it is the subsequent reaction in which the functional group which is present in the drug or the product of phase 1 metabolism process, that is phase 1 metabolite, they are conjugated with the endogenous substance, that means the substance which are present in our body like glucuronic acid, sulfate, acetate or amino acids. So that is the phase 2 reactions. Okay, for example, suppose the drugs having the nitro group. Okay, so if the drugs having the nitro group in their structure, in the phase 1 reaction what happens, they are converted into the NH2. Okay, so nitro converts into the NH2. So this is the reduction reaction. So this is the phase 1 reaction in which nitro group is converted into the hydrophilic group or the compounds which having the hydrophilic functional group or the polar functional group like NH2. So it is the phase 1 hydrophilic phase 1 reaction, it is the reduction reaction. Okay, so this amine group is the phase 1 product which is having the polar group, NH2 is the polar group, so they will undergo phase 2 metabolism, that is the conjugation. So conjugation with this amine group it converted into the phase 2 metabolites, and these phase 2 metabolites can be easily eliminated or excreted through the urine. So this is one of the example. If the drug having nitro group, suppose the drugs having the ester. Okay, so this is the ester. So this undergo phase 1 reaction, it is the hydrolysis reaction, and when the hydrolysis reaction takes place, it bonds breaks and it forms the carboxylic acid as a functional group. So this is the polar group formed after the phase 1 metabolism, and this polar group COH group it is then further reacts with the phase 2 conjugated part, and it undergoes the phase 2 conjugation reaction, and it forms highly hydrophilic metabolite, and it can be easily eliminated through the urine. So this is the phase 1 and phase 2 metabolism. Okay, so these are the phases of metabolism. So phase 1 is called as the functionalization reaction, they are also called as the non-synthetic reaction. Phase 2 they are called as the conjugation reaction. Okay, so this is the summary report of what are the reactions which takes place in phase 1, what are the reaction which takes place in the phase 2. So in the phase 1 hydrolysis, oxidation and reduction reaction takes place. इन द हायड्रोलायसिस, हायड्रोलायसिस कुणाकुणाचं होतं, तर ज्या कंपाऊंड या ड्रग्समध्ये इस्टर आहे, अमाइड्स आहेत, इपॉक्साइड्स आहेत, अरिन ऑक्साइड्स आहेत, ह्यासारख्या ड्रग्स ज्यामध्ये फंक्शनल ग्रुप प्रेझेंट आहेत त्यांची हायड्रोलायसिस रिॲक्शन फेज वन मेटाबॉलिझम होतं. ऑक्सिडेशन कोणाचं होतं, तर ज्याच्यामध्ये ॲरोमॅटिक ग्रुप्स आहेत, ऑलिफिन्स आहेत, हे ग्रुप आहेत, CO, CN, ॲलिफॅटिक, ॲलिसायक्लिक किंवा सी हेट्रोॲटॉमिक सिस्टीम्स आहेत किंवा अल्कोहोल आहेत, अल्डिहाइड्स आहेत. सो अशा ग्रुपचं काय होतं, ऑक्सिडेशन. आणि रिडक्शन कोणाचं होतं, अल्डिहाइड किटोन्स आहेत, नायट्रो ग्रुप्स आहेत, अझो ग्रुप्स आहेत. सो यासारखे जर कंपाऊंड्स प्रेझेंट असतील they will undergo the reduction reaction. So phase 1 hydrolysis reaction, oxidation reaction and the reduction. So these are the main three important reactions by which the compounds or the drugs they are converted into the drugs or the metabolites which having the polar group. In the phase 2 what happens, that is the conjugations. conjugation कोणाबरोबर होतं, एक तर ग्लुकोनिक ऍसिड बरोबर कॉन्जुगेशन होईल किंवा एक तर सल्फेट बरोबर होईल, ग्लायसिन किंवा दुसरे कुठले अमायनो ऍसिड त्यांच्याबरोबर होईल किंवा ग्लुटाथायोन बरोबर होईल किंवा ॲसिटायलेशन मिथायलेशन रिॲक्शन फॉर्ममध्ये त्याचं फेज टू कॉन्जुगेशन किंवा फेज टू रिॲक्शन आहे ती होऊ शकते. What are the sites of the metabolism? So the liver is the main site of the metabolism. Other than liver, metabolic products can be eliminated or excreted through the urine, through air, through sweat. Okay, so these are other pathways also by which the metabolism can be takes place. So extra hepatic, other than the liver, this is the brain where the extra hepatic microhydrogen oxidation conjugation reaction can be takes place. Okay, so here also takes place, in these parts also takes place. Then here in the liver the hepatic microsomal enzymes are there, and in the hepatic there are non-microsomal enzymes are also present. So in this way there are different sides of the drug metabolism. So they are generally classified into two parts, hepatic and extra hepatic. Hepatic means in the liver, extra hepatic means other than the liver if the metabolism of the drug is taking place, so that part we call it as extra hepatic regions. Okay, so phase 1 it is the non-synthetic. So in the phase 1 oxidation reaction can be takes place. So generally this reaction involves the cytochrome P, NADPH, as well as the oxidation or the oxygen. So generally this reaction is carried out by the group monooxygenase which are present in the liver. Okay, so त्याच्यामध्ये these are the agents which are present in the monooxygenase enzyme family, that is the cytochrome P450. So the major enzyme which is responsible for the phase 1 oxidation reaction, that is the cytochrome P or cytochrome P450. The non-cytochrome मध्ये येतात आपलं monoamine oxidase, already we have seen, diamine oxidase or alcohol aldehyde dehydrogenase, as well as the flavin monooxygenase. So these are the other enzymes other than the cytochrome P450. These enzymes can be involved in the metabolism by the oxidation. Second one, that is by the reduction reaction. So oxidation means what? Addition of oxygen or removal of hydrogen. Okay, what is the reduction? Reduction means opposite, addition of hydrogen, removal of oxygen. Okay, for example, we have given the example of nitro to amine. Okay, so this nitro group, if it is converted into amine, that is the reduction reaction. What is the reduction reaction? Addition of hydrogen. So here addition of hydrogen takes place, so that is the reduction reaction. And what is the oxidation? If CH3 is present, if it converted into C double bond OH, that is the addition of oxygen, so CH3 converts into the acid group, that is the C double bond OH. That is one of the oxidation reaction. So nitro to amine, that is the reduction reaction. Amine to nitro, that is the oxidation reaction, or CH3 to COOH, it is the oxidation reaction. नेक्स्ट वन हायड्रोलायसिस. सो कुठलेही ड्रग्ज असेल इन त्यामध्ये जर अमाइड असेल, इस्टर्स असतील, तर दे अंडरगो मेटाबॉलिझम बाय द हायड्रोलायसिस रिॲक्शन. सो हायड्रोलायसिस रिॲक्शन टेक्स प्लेस इन प्रेझेन्स ऑफ water. Okay, so what happens, the hydrolysis example, that is the acetylcholine. So acetylcholineचं मेटाबॉलिझम कोण करतं? choline esterase. So that enzyme is responsible for the hydrolysis of acetylcholine. So that is the great example of this one. So this is the example. So liver, intestine, plasma, or in other tissues, such type of reaction, that is the hydrolysis reaction, can be takes place. Then cyclization, decyclization, that is the cyclization means formation of ring structure from straight chain compound. Decyclization means opening up of ring structures of cyclic drug into the straight chain compound. So that is the decyclization. So proguanil is the example, is undergo metabolism by the cyclization. Then barbiturates, phenytoin, they can be undergo metabolism by the decyclization reaction. So these are the examples which comes under the phase 1 metabolism. In phase 2 they are called as the synthetic reactions, where the conjugation takes place, in which the endogenous substrate they binds to the drug and they form highly hydrophilic agents. Okay, so type 2 phase reactions of glucuronide, these acetylation, methylation, glycine, sulfate, glutathione, nucleoside. So these are the different types of phase 2 metabolism or synthetic reaction takes place. So in the glucuronic acid is there where the conjugation takes place. For this there is required UDP, glucoarynosyl transferase enzyme. सो हे कोण कंपाऊंड येतात? ज्या कंपाऊंडमध्ये हायड्रॉक्सी ग्रुप आहेत आणि कार्बोझायलिक ग्रुप आहेत, असे जे पोलार ग्रुप आहेत असे कंपाऊंड्स आहेत ते इझिली आपल्याला ग्लुकोनेट कॉन्जुगेशन रिॲक्शन देतात. These are some examples: aspirin असेल, chloramphenicol, phenacetin, morphine, they undergo glucuronide conjugation. Then acetylation, सो ज्याच्यामध्ये अमाइन्स आहेत किंवा सल्फोनमाइड्स आहेत, such drugs they undergo phase 2 metabolism by the process called as the acetylation, and the enzyme responsible is acetyl transferase and the cofactor is acetylcholine. So sulfonamides, isoniazids, hydralazine, these are the drugs which having the sulfonamides in their structure or the amine in their structure, so they undergo metabolism by acetylation reaction. Then sulfate conjugation, that is the conjugation with the sulfate group. So this is the major pathway for the phenol, but it is also occurs in case of alcohol amines and thiols. So this sulfate conjugation, they are generally responsible for the hepatotoxicity or carcinogenicity. जे सल्फेट कॉन्जुगेटेड प्रोडक्ट्स तयार होतात त्याच्यामुळं कार्सिनोजेनिक इफेक्ट होऊ शकतो किंवा हेपॅटोटॉक्सिसिटी सुद्धा होऊ शकते. So methyl dopa, albuterol, terbutaline, phenacetin, acetaminophen, these are the examples of the sulfate conjugation. Then amino acid conjugations, then glutathione conjugation. So paracetamol चं glutathione होतं, ह्यासारखे amino acids आहेत, it causes the amino acid conjugations. Okay, so this is some brief information regarding the phase 1 and phase 2 metabolism.